170 million total cases and 3.5 million deaths already. Economic systems are collapsing and businesses are going bankrupt, and entire nations are trembling in front of a creature that is so tiny it can't even be observed by the naked eye. Now, with that said, a question arises. How easy is it to lie about something that we can't even see? Very easy, of course. Hello and welcome, my name is Mohammed Osama and I'm going to try and answer the big question when it comes to COVID-19. Is it real or all just a hoax? Now, when we talk about the conspiracy theories that surround COVID-19, we can divide them into two types. The first one that doesn't even believe the virus exists or that its symptoms are caused by 5G radiation towers. Now, this theory doesn't make any sense for anyone who has seen the effects of the virus. And besides, the virus has been spreading aggressively in poor countries that don't have any 5G towers. But the second theory is much more interesting and believable. It states that the virus did not come from natural sources, but it was a man-made biological weapon that was leaked from one of the labs in Wuhan city, the place where the pandemic started. This is called the lab leak theory. And this theory is not completely absurd because when we look at the level of technology and genetic engineering that we have reached today, the possibility is there, especially when we look at the map of Wuhan city. We can see that Wuhan's Institute of Virology, a place dedicated for studying some of the world's most dangerous viruses, is located only 5 kilometers away from the Huanan seafood market, the place where the first cluster of cases were identified. Now, the viruses being studied in the institute are so dangerous that it's the only institute in China that has a biosafety level 4. A biosafety level indicates the level of safety precautions that are being followed in the lab. And level 4 is the highest possible level, and is the only one in China, located only 5 kilometers away from the heart of the outbreak. Coincidence? Who knows? And what supports the lab leak theory even more is the story of Dr. Li. Dr. Li tried to warn his fellow medics about a new virus circulating around that has SARS-like symptoms. SARS is another type of coronavirus that caused an outbreak back in 2003. Now, this warning was on 30th of December, and on the same day the police captured him, took him to the station, made him sign a statement that he will stop spreading false rumors. Now, keep in mind that the first case of coronavirus was identified on December 8th, 22 days before Dr. Li's warning. And as a police authority that has no experience in medicine whatsoever, your first thought should be, I'm going to take this doctor seriously, because if his claims are true, I'm going to be able to prevent a huge crisis. Except if the police already knew what Dr. Li was talking about, and all they wanted to do was to silence him. So China's intentions to cover up are very clear, and it's not just with Dr. Li. In February of this year, the World Health Organization sent an investigation team to China with the purpose of uncovering the origin of the coronavirus. Because, by the way, the theory that states that the coronavirus came from bats is only a theory. Nothing is proven yet. Anyways, the investigation team were not hesitant about mentioning the lack of cooperation from the Chinese government. The Wall Street Journal says that China refuses to share the necessary data of the early COVID-19 cases, which could be very helpful in uncovering the origin of the virus. And Mr. Ben Emmerich, a member of the team, also says that they only spent hours in the Wuhan Institute of Virology, which is not nearly enough to go through all the files. And some of the staff members refused to share all the safety logs and records. So, the lab leak theory is not something to immediately dismiss, especially when governments are starting to take it seriously. Last Wednesday, in a press conference, President of the United States, Joe Biden, ordered the US intelligence to increase their efforts in investigating the origin of the coronavirus and to consider all possibilities, including a lab leak incident. This came after the Wall Street Journal uncovered a US intelligence report which shows that 3 members of the Wuhan Institute of Virology were sick in November 2019, a month before the outbreak, and their symptoms were similar to the COVID-19 symptoms. Now, President Biden also added, and I quote, "The United States will keep working with like-minded partners to press China to participate in a full, transparent, evidence-based international investigation." Notice that President Biden mentioned the word transparent. It's been a year and a half since the outbreak, and if transparency is still an issue, something must be wrong, right? Anyways, if we're going to make our minds about this, we have to look at both sides, because the natural spillover theory also has some pretty solid ground, regardless of the fact that the origin of the virus is yet to be found in any animal. Because viruses actually go through multiple mutations as they spread through different hosts. As a matter of fact, back in 2013, a type of coronavirus was found in bats in some of the mining caves in China. And this virus was called RATG13. And a study that was conducted in May 2020 revealed that this virus actually shares 97% of its genetic code with the COVID-19 virus. And this is what many scientists believe to be the origin of the coronavirus, because it might have gone through multiple mutations which made it capable of making that jump from animal to human. And also, the number of viruses in nature, in the wildlife, is actually remarkable. So the scenario of one of these viruses jumping from animal to human is almost inevitable, and especially when we look at our history. A virus outbreak is not a surprise because it has happened multiple times before. In the 21st century alone, there have been at least 5 viruses that made that jump from animal to human and caused an outbreak. And 2 of those viruses were actually coronaviruses, which belong to the coronavirus family. So all the evidence were pointing towards that this would happen again. And especially when we look at our behavior with animal farms and in the food industry. People that work in the food industry are being exposed to live and dead animals every day. Mr. Peter Daszak, a member of the investigating team that was sent to China, who's also a disease ecologist, says that there's an estimated 1 to 7 million people being exposed to zoonotic viruses in Southeast Asia each year. Zoonotic viruses are basically just viruses that are capable of making that jump from animal to human. So the possibility of it happening again was definitely there. So the health experts, the World Health Organization, have been warning about this for years, yet no one took them seriously. All our past experiences were pointing towards something like this happening again. And this is quite scary, because we got lucky this time. Because although this virus is the most contagious the world has ever seen, it is not that deadly compared to some of the other viruses. For example, Ebola. So imagine a virus outbreak that is just as contagious as this one and just as deadly as Ebola. That is a scary combination that could possibly wipe out the human race. And it could happen if our behavior with the wildlife does not change. Now, personally, when I started researching about this topic, I thought that the conspiracy theories were the ones that were going to scare me and shiver my bones. Except it was completely the other way around. Because all the statistics and health experts agree that this was not a coincidence, and it will most certainly happen again. As a matter of fact, Mr. Peter Daszak says that there's an estimated 1.5 million viruses in the wildlife that we don't know of, And any one of those viruses can be making that jump from animal to human at any time. So, even if we defeat this pandemic, we will only be winning a battle, because the war is far from over.